Welcome back, everyone, to Two Grumpy Reviewers. This week we're going to be reviewing one of our favorite lists of all time that you will see a lot of, in future videos. So this is our first one of So Bad They're Great films.
Yes.
Now, keep in mind that these are in no particular order.
That's right.
No particular genre or what have you. It's just a mishmash of films that we believe, in our opinion, are so bad they're great.
Yes, because they are.
Yes, they are. So we have our reasons as to why we love these movies, and we're about to share them with you. First on our list is Hell Comes to Frogtown.
1988.
Right, 1988. Now, what's there not to love about this movie? I mean, it's
frogs.
Right? It's giant, like mutant frogs, like humanoid frog type creatures, right?
Oh yeah.
And it was made during the popularity of the Ninja Turtle movies, so it's obviously they were trying to cash in.
Them off.
Right,
Yes.
they're basically kind of trying to knock them off. So
Yes.
that's one of the things that piqued our interest as kids when we saw it. We're like, oh, look at this, a knockoff Ninja Turtles movie. But anyhow, Hell Comes to Frogtown. It's great. It's nice and cheesy. It's exciting.
Roddy Piper.
Right, Roddy Piper. I mean, come on, from They Live. I mean,
Yeah.
one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, in my opinion. Anyhow, the guy's great in the movie, and they have this setup where he's like the only fertile man
Yes.
on the entire planet after a
Yes.
nuclear war.
Yes.
Do I have that right?
Yes.
And so, it's become his duty to impregnate all the women, the remaining women of the world. I mean, talk about a sweet gig, right? I mean,
Right.
come on, you're the only.
Doesn't get any better.
Right, you're the only fertile guy in the world, and it's your job to repopulate the earth. I mean,
And he must.
right? So, there's that setup, that whole setup. But there's a lot going on in this movie, man. There's a lot of really funny situations, bizarre jokes,
I mean, it's people in frog costumes.
Exactly.
Don't expect much. That's why it's great.
Right, but
Right?
it's all in good fun.
It's worth a watch.
It's definitely worth a watch.
Is that one we're going to do a full review on eventually?
Yes, we're definitely gonna be doing.
Because there's a lot of bad reviews.
There is, and we truly believe that is very unfair of people to bag on a movie like this, because I mean, if you're a fan of these kinds of movies, you have to understand that first of all, you do have eclectic taste.
Right.
So there is like a bit of introspect. You have to understand yourself as a movie fan that I realize that I love these movies and that they're horrible. That's the whole reason as to why the general public just rejects them, which I believe is a crime in itself, because these are great, they're fun films.
But I think this one has found, as most of them on our list that we have,
they found their own fan base.
They have found their base.
They found their own cult following.
Yes.
So,
yay for us, because we get it on DVD, we get special releases on Blu-ray, and yay.
We're just excited.
Yes.
We're excited to see Hell Comes to Frogtown on Blu-ray, actually.
Yes.
And it's available right now, I believe. You might be able to get it for maybe $7-8. Don't quote me on that. They may raise the price after these reviews. Who knows?
Right now, this one is hard to find.
Oh, okay.
And I actually found it on a double with another one on your list.
A double feature. That's correct.
Yes,
I apologize. Okay, I stand
that
corrected.
was really hard to find, and that was on regular DVD.
Right.
So I do believe this one is getting a Blu-ray release, but I don't know anything about it, so I'm not even going to try to act like I do. Okay. So, yeah.
Next,
so do the next one.
Next film on our list is Charles Band-produced Subspecies, made in 1998.
I love this movie.
We both love this movie because it's a different take on vampires.
Yes.
I mean, who doesn't love that, man?
Right.
I mean, come on. You're bored one night. You order a pizza, invite some friends over, and just enjoy a good cheesy vampire film. I mean, it's got everything, man.
It does.
It's got everything. It's got the cheesy vampire. It's got the little demon dudes that run around and steal people. It's freaking great. I love that. So, it's got a lot of traditional stop motion, which...
And what I loved about this one is they filmed it on location.
Right?
In Romania. Yes, they filmed it on location, and I think that added to the charm of it. And I love Full Moon. Charles Band.
Both huge
fans, and this is actually the first movie you bought me.
That's true. When we first started dating, we were just like, we talked on the phone nonstop.
Because we didn't see each other.
We
were long distance.
We lived in two different states, so we're talking on the phone like forever. And when we both found out that we love Subspecies, I'm like, oh my God, like I
Yes.
finally found my match. So
Yes.
when she told me that she didn't own it on DVD, I was like, you know what?
Because you couldn't find it
Right.
on DVD. You couldn't find it. Like the box set was over $100.
Right.
And just to find one, I mean, and this was, you know, pre-Amazon. I love Amazon.
Yes, we do.
This was when you could only get everything on eBay. And it
Correct.
was a nightmare. I have a poster that cost me, you know, almost $200 because there was no Amazon at that time. And to get a hold of some of these really bad, great movies, their paraphernalia is expensive. The movies are expensive. Most of them at that time were all bootlegs.
Right.
And so you found me the original box set.
Yes, I did.
And oh my God, I fell in love. That was it. It was it. Because I love Subspecies. So
Subspecies is great.
It is great.
It's got a decent amount of gore, but it's more about the story.
It is.
You know, I was surprised, honest, that Subspecies actually had a bit of a plot to it. You know,
It did.
You know what it reminded me of? It reminds me a lot of like the old Hammer horror films, like the way that the style, the feel. You know what I mean? Like
Yes, yes.
And we really appreciate that. I mean,
The classic.
right? It's the
Where it's
classic
more about
feel.
that story.
Right,
You know?
right. So if you're
yeah.
not a fan of the classics, you might not like Subspecies, but we encourage you to watch it, especially if you enjoy vampire films.
But it is so bad, it's great.
It's so bad, it's
It
great.
is. And if you don't find it great and horrible at the same time,
you have no sense of humor.
yes.
I mean, but
Right.
especially like when he has those obvious
The fingers?
rubber fingertips.
Yeah, and then they bend backwards like this, that my fingers do naturally. His do it at the end here. It's awesome. And I love it. I couldn't say enough good things about this film. So the next one?
The next one is my all-time favorite, Your Hunter from the Future. Made in 1983. I first saw this film when I was 5 years old at the Apache Drive-In back in Tucson, Arizona. And it's because of that I absolutely love this movie, and I have a hard time not letting my blood boil whenever someone says, "Oh, it sucks, it's so stupid." And let me tell you, you need to witness Your Hunter from the Future, to witness the greatness that is Red Brown in The Hunter from the Future.
I only forgive you for loving this because you were 5.
Right. But I mean,
this is a horrible movie.
Okay, yes, it is.
It is a horrible movie.
It is.
I mean, we have to acknowledge that.
It is a horrible movie, but you know what I absolutely love about is the fact that it's a movie. It's an Italian film, okay?
It is.
That is a complete ripoff of several different genres. It's got elements. He-Man. It's like Conan the Barbarian mixed with Star Wars.
Yes.
I mean, it rips off so many different genres that it's great.
The flying, is it a pterodactyl?
Well, there's a flying,
what is it?
Giant flying bat that he uses as a hand glider.
I thought it was the pterodactyl.
That alone is worth the price of admission. But yeah, Your Hunter from the Future is an absolutely great film, in my opinion. Nice and cheesy, lots of fun.
Yes.
He fights rubber dinosaurs. Who doesn't like that? I mean, come on, man.
It is so bad, it's great. It is. I
is.
mean, you have to have, again, we're going to say this a lot when we do these lists, you have to have a sense of humor. And you have to just appreciate the fact that there's a lot of people that put a lot of time and money into making a movie, period. You have to just respect that part of it. And even if you're like, oh my God, this is horrible, this is, god-awful, you can find it on YouTube for free. You can find it, on a lot of places.
For sale, if you want to buy it on DVD.
You can buy it. I recommend seeing any of these that we tell you to see. I do recommend seeing them before you purchase them because they have a huge base of people that hate these movies. that we think that they're so bad that they're great and everybody should love them and own them. Yours definitely, it leans more towards the so bad side of things, and I think we both agree to that. But you did make me watch it. I did watch it. It is horrible. But I laughed a lot at the ridiculousness of it.
Yes.
And I always keep in mind when somebody loves a film, why do they love it? You know, that you have to at least kind of respect that side of it. And
did you know that
What?
Yor is the man?
according to you?
And that he never sees the sun, and that he's
Never.
always
Oh,
on the run.
So bad.
These are some of the lyrics from the great. I love this song. I love the Yor theme song. It is freaking great.
It's his
This
phone
song-
theme song.
It's my ringer on my
It's
phone.
on his phone.
It's so great, but it's like yours while he's the
Don't sing it.
man, yours while he's the man.
Let's go to the next movie.
Oh, it's great! It's great! I love Yor. Okay, our next film is The Puppet Monster Massacre, made in 2012.
This movie I love. This is a movie that he introduced me to because he has a connection to it. We will tell you that later. We will actually do a whole video on it and we'll share the link below. But this is a movie that he wouldn't even sit in the room with my daughter and I when we watched it. And Rosemary and I sat down and watched this movie, and we made a huge bowl of popcorn and laughed so hard. You're supposed to laugh. It's ridiculous. The title says puppet, so I went into this assuming that there would be puppets, and there were. Oh my God, it's great. And think of Fandango with the bags. Remember those old Fandango commercials? And Crank Yankers with the crazy puppets. It's somewhere between that insanity, and it's hilarious. It's crude like South Park. It's vulgar. You will laugh and you will love it. And if you don't, your soul is dead. I love this movie so much.
Oh, it's very sweet.
And you have to admit, with this movie, it's funny and charming. It is extremely charming. I feel a lot about this movie the way you do about Yor.
Right.
Like, I saw it and I went into it with low to no expectations. And like you did, obviously, at 5, you go into a movie with no expectations and you come out just like, oh my God, that was great. That's how I felt when I stopped watching this. He walked back into the room and he's like, so what did you think? And I'm like, oh my God, are you serious? Did you not hear us laughing out here? We laughed so much and we enjoyed it so much that you have to see this movie. It is really hard to find. We have to tell them that now.
Oh, that's true. It was distributed. It was for a while picked up by MVD
Yes.
Entertainment, so they were distributing it for a while. But I don't believe they're distributing it and no longer distributing it. So
I had to find a private seller,
Right, it's a
and I
different
paid $35 for it and shipping. But it was worth it to me, and I love this movie. It's so ridiculous. And Dustin, what is the director's name? Dustin Mills. And Dustin is great. I wish he would do more films like this. He did a movie that we are going to review.
Right.
What was that? Skinless? Wasn't
yeah,
it
it was
Skinless?
Skinless. Yeah, I remember that.
And that's another really bad. It's a great movie. And but this one, Puppet Monster Massacre, you got to see it. It's totally worth the wait.
I think it's very vulgar, but I mean, if that's your thing, I mean, go ahead.
It
Go right
is.
ahead.
It is. Do the next one.
Next movie on the list is Megaforce.
Megaforce. 1982.
This movie has to be seen to be believed. I mean, if there are any Mask fans out there who like the toy line Mask, I'm not talking about the stupid Jim Carrey movie. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about Mobile Armored Strike Command. Imagine Mask as a movie, only cheesier and duddier, but yet fun. Does that make any sense?
Kind of gay.
Yeah, kind of. Well, that's not nice.
I know.
It is a little.
No, I'm saying like funny, weird gay.
Right.
That's what I'm
Like
saying.
they're happy to-
They are.
Yeah,
like you're expecting them to like break out into dance.
Right,
Because they got like the tight little and the
Yeah,
arms showing. Right. You know. That's
true.
what I mean.
And their uniforms, you want to call them that? Their leotard uniforms.
That's what I'm talking about.
Very shiny, very disco.
Very shiny,
and
like disco.
They're headed by their faithful leader. Was it Duke? Duke. Was it Duke? Is that his name? I don't know. It was like I don't know. I screwed it up.
It's like, so ridiculous. The flying cycle.
Right. They fly motorcycles. They fire rockets. It's great, man. It's great.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
It is so bad.
Jane Fonda hair,
right.
Bandana.
It's very leaving the disco into the early 80s.
Right.
It has that vibe. That's why I say it's that very kind of like disco gay kind of thing where everything is tight and shiny and you just like want them to break out into dance.
And all nations and ethnicities are represented in this film, so it's great. It's great in that regard. It's very inclusive. I mean, everybody wants to talk about being inclusive, getting along with everybody. I mean, watch Megaforce. That's a perfect example of how nations come together to fight a common enemy.
That's
an elite compact fighting unit armed with the most sophisticated weapons ever seen on a movie screen. The mission, to preserve freedom and justice and battle the forces of evil.
And that one is available.
Right, and it's a great film.
It's extremely available.
A great film to watch with your kids.
Yes, extremely available.
Because it's got cartoon violence.
Don't tell them to corrupt their children yet.
I didn't say it. Well, I'm just saying.
Well, you said watch it with your children.
It's got cartoony violence. Nobody dies. It's great. Everybody gets to
No one dies. There's like no death and no blood. And yet they conquer.
There's badass cars, badass motorcycles that fire rockets and lasers, and nobody gets killed.
And no blood, no death, but yet they win.
What do you want? What do you want? No, come on. It's great.
Oh my God.
Next movie on the list. Go ahead.
Is Creature 1985. You have to talk about this movie because I can't. This is not one that I have seen but one time.
Okay, if you're a fan of, Alien ripoffs from the 80s, it's basically a knockoff of Alien, okay? So if you're a fan of those numerous knockoffs they had back in the day, Creature is definitely one of the better knockoffs, in my opinion. It's great. I mean, it's got a really nice dark atmosphere. The creature's very cool looking and menacing. The creature. How
much screen time does he have? Because this literally is not a movie that when I put it on the list, I didn't remember this, but I know I've seen it.
The creature itself?
Yes. How much screen time does he actually get?
The creature itself probably has the same amount of screen time as the first Alien in the movie Alien. It's like maybe about 10 minutes.
Like it shows and then goes and shows.
10 minutes altogether. Okay. Because the whole point of watching this kind of movies is to be treated by
to the scare
and the rare shots of the creature. Yes. If you show too much monster,
those who had traveled across
you lose the
galaxy.
Audience. Yes. But then if you don't show enough, like Cloverfield, you're like, oh, that was a great monster. Why didn't they show it through the whole movie? Right? That's on the list too.
Right.
That's what's going to be a list. And the next one is Night of the Comet, 1984. This is one of my absolute favorite movies of all time. I don't care what anybody says. If the world ended, every girl on the planet would go shopping. I don't care who you are. Yeah. This is what we would do. Like, we would shop.
Because who would stop you? Who would stop you from grabbing
No, zombies apparently would stop us.
That's the only thing you gotta
We would go shopping and then zombies would stop us. And it's an awesome 80s. This movie sums up the 80s for me when you think of like 80s science fiction.
Right.
This is like what I think in my head.
It was during the whole Cold War era where everyone was afraid of nuclear war.
Yes.
And, we're still afraid of nuclear war.
And I still, to this day, when we do a full review on this movie, I still, to this day, the only gripe, I have one gripe with this whole movie, is ridiculous and is bad, because it is bad. Right. My biggest gripe with this is the creatures in the dream sequence when they pull her over.
Yeah.
Why did we not see more of them?
Right.
Where were they in the film? They were on screen like 5 seconds.
And they were the coolest looking
creatures. Was the coolest creatures ever on film at that point, and it was like the creatures in An American Werewolf in London. The guys at the door.
Yeah.
Like, where were they the whole movie? And
like, that's something I'll never understand.
To me, it's a great idea wasted on seconds in a film. Like, why did these not get a whole film? Night of the Comet in 1984, to me, is still and always will be one of the best 80s sci-fi movies. But again, it goes, I was a kid when I saw it.
True.
So it has a lot of nostalgia for me.
And the nostalgia for me was I first saw it on Cinemax as a kid. I was probably maybe 11, 12 years old or whatever.
Right.
And the reason the film just really scarred my mind is because at that time I feared nuclear war. I mean, I was terrified of that. I was terrified that we'd wake up one day to this horrible post-apocalyptic world, you know?
Well, because there were a lot of movies like that back then. That, you know, we had to fear nuclear weapons. We had to, you know, there was a lot going on in the media. Right. A lot of fear-mongering going on.
It was during the Reagan era, man. I mean, you know, there was a lot of that. There was a lot of fear-mongering. A lot of that, you know, a lot of that fear that we would die in a nuclear war, nuclear attack. Yep. So that's why Anaconda is a fantastic film. You need to check it out.
It is so bad it's great.
Right.
Because it is bad.
It's got the crazy 80s hair, the crazy 80s
it has a little butt cut going down in the middle, and
the cool music, you know.
Great music, great,
sexy,
great film.
Sexy women, great.
Very.
Great.
Beautiful women. Nice women, too.
Right.
Yes. Next.
Next film on our list is Anaconda, made in 1997.
And there's only one reason to see. Well, two. The snake.
Right. The giant snake. Jennifer Lopez booty.
That's it. That is it.
J-Lo booty.
If a movie is made great, it's by a snake and J-Lo butt. That is it.
Man, that almost sounds like a porn, doesn't it?
It does. And but this is a great movie.
Yeah, no, it is by every means a great film.
I love this movie.
I'm a huge fan of giant monsters, so that alone just, you know,
it is bad.
Grabs me.
I mean, you know the snake is fake. Mm-hmm. You know it. You see it in a lot of the 70s 90s movies, in the late 90s. They were getting better with CG,
right.
But it was still. I still believe it was still in its infancy.
It's still a little wonky.
It was
parts, you know.
I mean, you can totally tell.
But it's a fun film.
But it is a fun film.
You know, everybody's getting munched by this giant, you know, snake and this giant anaconda, you know, and
filmed on location.
Yeah, filmed on location. What was it? Do you remember the location? Was it?
If I either. I don't want to say because I honestly don't. Yeah. I wanted to say South Africa,
right.
But I don't remember. But I know that they did film part of this movie on location.
Okay.
It was a big thing for the actors. So
they were really.
Yeah.
Man, I'm surprised they didn't get what is it, dysentery or what is it?
Right. Malaria, anything. There's so many things they could get, you know, back then. And so, but yeah, it is a great film. It is horrible. There's going to be plenty of people that go, oh, this is a horrible list. These are horrible movies. They are. That's the whole point. They're so bad that they're great. And this is definitely another one of them that we love. And we don't care who says that it's bad.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what
snake
it is.
and J-Lo butt.
Right? Giant snake movie. What's there not to love about that?
What is there not to love? It's like when somebody tells me it's a shark movie and I'm like, I'm there.
Right? So next film on the list is Saturday the 14th. I think you have a little more information.
1981.
Right, it was made.
Yes. This is a movie that should be seen every Saturday the 14th after Friday the 13th. It is ridiculous. It is funny. This movie is so much the ridiculous epitome of the make fun of horror movies.
Right.
I don't know if you enjoy a lot of the student bodies from the 80s.
Right.
The
Monster
National
Squad. Monster Squad.
Yeah.
It's definitely a parody.
What is that scary movie? Isn't that the one where they make fun of
the parody?
Yes, it's very much like that. They're making fun of vampires and ghouls and all the little monsters.
There was even like a creature from the Black Lagoon.
There was, and the wizard. You know,
it's a fun movie. It's a fun movie.
It's
a ridiculous film. It's got all sorts of different characters in it.
Yes.
Bad dialogue. Very hokey.
Very hokey.
And in my opinion, it's kind of junky. You know, it's a little clunky. But it's fun. It's definitely it was directed by Roger Corman's wife.
Yes. It was.
So I believe she directed and produced it. But you know, we're fans of Roger Corman. We love everything he comes out with. Just about everything.
I wish she had done more, because if this really was like who she was and what she liked to do, I wish I had a library of her movies, because I love this movie.
Right.
I really did. I don't know why people don't like it. I don't think a lot of people know about this movie.
It's very obscure. It's very obscure. I didn't even know about it. When I met her, I was surprised I'd never heard of it. I'm like, well, Saturday the 14th, what the heck is that? You know, it's like,
it's so cheesy.
Right. But in a good way.
But in a good way.
It's a lot of fun. You'll enjoy it if you love cheesy. If you love parodies of horror, different horror characters. You'll definitely enjoy it. You know what? I would definitely recommend it as a fun, family-friendly Halloween movie.
Definitely.
You watch it with your family on Halloween night. You're eating a bunch of junk food. Yep. You're a little delirious from all the sugar
before they go to bed. This is a good one. You know, scare them with Halloween and then this.
There you go.
This is a good follow-up to kind of leave it lighthearted.
To taper it off.
Yes.
That way the kids can sleep at night.
And still Halloweenish.
Right. And then you can walk in the middle of the night with a hockey mask and wake them up.
Boogeyman's That's right. That's right. This is a great film. I love this movie.
I agree.
I love it.
It's a lot of fun.
I love it. Now the last one that we have on our list, number 10 on our list today.
The Deadly Spawn, produced in 1983. This film, is so gory, so fantastic that you gotta watch it, man. I mean, it's difficult to describe because it is definitely a low budget film.
Right.
I mean, no buts about it.
There's no getting around that.
No getting around that. When you see it, it's very obvious, from the first frame on. But you can tell that there was a lot of heart that went into this movie. They made some really fantastic looking slug-like, giant slug-type creatures, like made from latex and everything. They got tons of teeth, like rows and rows of teeth, like a shark, but only worse. You know what they remind me of? Lampreys, man, like giant lampreys. Just crunching down.
Like leviathans?
Yeah, like weird, giant leviathans. And very grotesque looking, almost phallic. But I remember back in the day, this film, believe it or not, was deemed so graphic, and I don't know if it was just a marketing ploy back then, but
everything was a marketing ploy.
It was deemed so graphic and so gory that it had an X rating. I remember that on the box. It was forbidden because I was like 11, 12 years old, wanting to rent the movie. And they wouldn't let me rent it because I was too young. They go, "Oh no, that's in the X-rated section. You can't rent that. You're not old enough for that." I'm like, "But there's no sex in it." And they're like, "Well, no, you're not old enough. That's an X-rated film, right?" So
you have to see it.
It was touted as being too gory for American release or whatever, or too gory in the UK. I don't remember exactly what they were bragging about. But
kind of like Faces of Death.
Yes, but
they made it out to be worse than it really was.
And out of all honesty, The Deadly Spawn, for its time, was a very grotesque, very gory, very bloody film because, the aliens, go around, they menace people, and then they literally, crunch down on them. So there's no cutaways, none of that bullshit. You actually see heads getting crunched, arms getting ripped open, faces, maggots eating people. It is very graphic, which is why I love this film. But to be perfectly honest with you, by today's standards, it would be considered very tame. So I'm not exactly sure, where this movie would stand, by today's standards. But it's still fun.
I think a lot of these movies, which is why I like that we do these lists, because I do believe there's a whole two generations of kids coming up, our kids and the kids that they're having. That don't know about these movies because they're so inundated with content that we have already out there.
Liam, go over there!
Oh, babe.
What are you doing?
Go in your room, Bubba. Wait. Okay?
Excuse me. Sorry.
I know.
Anyhow, pick it up, please.
So, I think a movie, when you talk about a list like this, a list where you're giving people, and we have a lot of movies, we're trying to pull from very obscure films that we love, of the litany of movies that we like. And these are movies that I don't think a lot of the new generations are even seeing.
Right.
I don't think that
agree.
a lot of them are available on DVD. I don't think a lot of, because so many of them are, you have to have a cult following, a really good cult following in order to know that these exist. And my kids know about them because I love movies like this.
Exactly, and there's literally a treasure trove of
Yes.
films like this out there, and we're
There
gonna
are.
be reviewing a lot more
Yes.
than this. Believe me.
We're just gonna do 10 per list, right?
10 per list.
Yes.
You know, keep it short and sweet. That way, you all have time to check these movies out,
Research them and
them,
find them.
and find the
Yep.
films that you like,
Yep.
because we cover a myriad of genres.
Right. Yeah, we're trying to bring a lot of films that we don't think a lot of kids today are getting the opportunity to see because their parents don't see them. There is so much content out there today.
Right.
So much content.
It's overwhelming.
It is overwhelming.
So
I get overwhelmed.
Right.
By it.
A lot of films get lost because
Yes.
of it.
And again, this is why we're having to go back and review Netflix and Hulu and things like that, because there is so much new content out there. Every one of these online things have their own content. So if you don't subscribe to them, then you don't get to see their content. And there's a lot of people out there that are like, well, should I get Hulu? Are there shows we're seeing? Should I even get Netflix? Are there movies we're seeing? And that's why we're trying to do this. We're trying to bring these movies that are very obscure, that a lot of kids today don't even know are out there, and let them see the stuff that influenced us and that we grew up on. So these are so bad that they're great.
So that concludes our So Bad, They're Great list
Yes.
for this week. Thank you for tuning in to Two Grumpy Reviewers.
Yes.
I'm Mario.
I'm Celeste, and like this video and give us a thumbs up and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification button and leave your comments below for us so we know what you think and what else you want to see.
Thank you for joining us again.
Thank you guys.
Bye.
Bye.